Going into today, we foresee improved activity levels in banking names as investors await the audited half-year results. And it looks like we'll be waiting a bit longer for Stanbic's results. They've just released a statement saying their audited interim results will be delayed due to some setback in getting approval from central bank. And for the broader market, we do not expect major deviation from yesterday's trading session. Thank you, and that'll be all from my end.
Thank you very much, Simbiat. Next up is Omorige, and he'll be taking us through fixed income and currencies. Good morning, Omorige.
Good morning. I will be taking it today, Dakwa speaking. So yesterday we saw the parallel market remain at the 521 levels on the offer, just as the previous day. Nothing major changed in that space yesterday. Also at the NAFEX space, we saw rates trend between 413 and 400 levels. Much of the trades in that space got consummated between 411 and 412 levels. FX reserves also stood at about 33.49 billion as well. For the figures on the CBN's website. We also saw CBN continue to intervene in the NAFEX window, basically to keep things moving as liquidity still remains flat. For the local space, we saw system liquidity still tight, about 300 billion short on estimates, but however, due to lack of any funding requirement, we saw the OBB and overnight rates trend lower to about 15% levels on the day yesterday. For trading, T-bills was largely muted. It was a flat session, basically because players just waited on the sidelines to see what the primary auction will print at today for direction. So overall, for the NTB space, just a few buy interest on the long end, very few trades got consummated. So things just remain pretty much flat on that space. For the bonds market, also we had a quiet opening. Players were largely on the sidelines, just waiting to see what direction the market was going to take. We've seen market trade lower at every other point of the curve, apart from the longest end up until yesterday. Again, we believe largely that following the bond auction, where the 2036s closed at 12.75 and 2050s closed at 12.80, the yield curve needed to rebalance and reprice appropriately. So we've seen 36s come down to about 12.5 levels, and just market waiting on the sidelines for some demand to come in to pull down the 50s, given that market tone currently is largely on the buy side. So yesterday we just saw a quiet opening session. As trading progressed, we saw a few buy side interest on 2050s, opening from about 12.76 levels, traded all the way down to about 12.68 before coming back to 1270 on the day. Overall, we saw yields just inch down by about 5 basis points at the bonds market yesterday. For the Euro bond space, Monday was a buy side, but nothing aggressive on Monday. Yesterday, we saw some stronger buy side interest across generally the sovereigns. For the corporates, it wasn't as aggressive, just a few trades, very few and far between. So we saw the Nigerian core, for example, dip by about 30 to 40 basis points on average on the day yesterday. Again, on the back of strong buy side interest. The SDR allocation, we understand, was deployed yesterday. We're waiting to see the impact and implication and full implication of that, and we'll provide updates accordingly. But we believe that contributed to the buy side action on Nigeria's. Ghana as well, we saw buy side action. We saw the Ghana yield curve Eurobond also dip by about 30 to 40 basis points on the day yesterday. Overall, we believe also that the 2 days back-to-back oil price rally, which again moderated yesterday, would have contributed to the buy side tone that we witnessed in the Eurobond space. Overall, for the Eurobonds market, we saw market dip by about 30 basis points on average yesterday. We saw the oil markets post its 2 days rally yesterday, pushing as at this morning, pushing Brent down to about $71 per barrel and WTI to $67.38 dollars per barrel. In the last 2 days, we've seen buy side action. We basically Mexico lost some production on their fields. Also, there are news around China being able to that China has been able to contain the outbreak again, and so that supported oil prices for the last 2 days. But that paused yesterday, and we've seen some sell side action even into this morning. We believe that will moderate as the market continues to focus on actions in containing the virus by global leaders in the next couple of days and sessions, basically. And so we expect that wouldn't be prolonged at all, and oil prices will continue to hover around $70 per barrel in the near term. For the Eurobond space, on the back of that, we expect to see, excuse me, the buy side action continuing into this morning. But again, there's a possibility that we see some profit taking, given that we've had 2 days of buy side action. And for the local space, T-bills, we expect market to be quiet for the NTB auction to provide guidance today. The DMO will be offering 157.21 billion across the 91, 182, and 364 days paper. Our view is that we'll see rates again trend lower on the long end, whilst the short buckets will continue to maintain the range of where they've been closing 2.5 and 3.5%. For the long end, today we see rates stopping somewhere between 6.6 and 6.95. Generally, market appetite has been around 6.5, 6.7 levels. And so we see the auction closing there, except DMO decides to take more at today's auction, which is highly unlikely, looking at all the funding sources that has been lined up for them and the current weak market sentiment, or rather strong market sentiment with respect to winning DMO auctions and allotments. For the bond market, we also expect a mixed trading session. We expect buy side tilt at the long end. Pretty much things might also remain quiet there, as players just generally want to see what the DMO will do at the NTB primary market auction for guidance. I believe that covers it for fixed income. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dakpo. We'll now move to Justina from Frontier Africa Report, and she'll be giving us some headlines from across Africa. Good morning, Justina.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So we start here from Kenya, where Kenya's Capital Markets Authority and embattled Saiton Investment Management are in a tussle over a lot of issues. The investment manager petitioned lawmakers to probe the appointment of the CMA CEO, including his conduct and regulatory policies. According to them, they said the CEO had enacted policies that stifled capital markets to benefit the banking sector. On the other hand, CMA is saying that they are having issues with Saiton over sale of unlicensed and unregulated investment products. So these issues have been coming up over and over, and it's been a tussle between these two entities. In Uganda, Ugandan distributor and electricity supplier Umeme Limited has reported a net profit of 48.2 billion Ugandan shillings in the first half of 2021, and that's against the 21.8 billion Ugandan shillings in the same period of 2020. That's double the price this time around. In the Eastern and Southern African Trade and Development Bank has granted a trade finance facility to Burundi Bank Bankobo in hopes to support Burundi's small and medium-sized enterprises in the agricultural export sector. And that's it. Those are the stories we're taking from the from the East African region. Now to the Southern African region, where South Africa's unemployment rate has hit a record high of 34.4% in the second quarter, from 32.6% in the first quarter. And this is as businesses shed staff due to the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. As at the end of June, 7.8 1.26 million people do not have jobs, and that's something that's something that something that has been a bite in the neck, considering the recent riot that has taken place. Also on Tuesday, South Africa's National Treasurer said that the damage caused by the riots last month in July could shave off between 0.7 and 0.8% of the country's total GDP. According to the Treasury, according to them, they said, we are concerned about the potential effect on unemployment and sentiment that may outlive the shock and impact potential growth. So this is a problem in South Africa at this moment, as a lot of jobs, a lot of companies have laid off staff because of the impact of the riots, and then now we have the issue of the unemployment rate recording a highs of 34.4%. We'll continue to observe this news as it unfolds. Now, a cannabis company, Psilocybin Pharmaceuticals, is planning to list on the JSE by 2022. And we will talk about cannabis when we get to the Northern African region again. In Botswana, where London and Botswana listed miner Okwa Diamonds is set to purchase 100% of the share capital of Gem Diamonds Botswana for $4 million. That happened yesterday, and we'll keep looking at how that unfolds in the coming days. In the Northern African region, Egypt is preparing to issue its first sovereign sukuk during the second half of the 2021 and 2022 fiscal year. According to the finance minister, the offering will provide necessary funding for investment projects listed in the state's general budget. Bank ABC Egypt has appointed Amir Tawat as its new MD CEO, and is expected to start his tenure on September 26th. Speaking about cannabis, Morocco Senate just approved a draft to inculcate cannabis into the economy. So we look at how that unfolds as time goes on. Pan-African Bank of Africa has signed a bilateral agreement with Chinese manufacturer Sokon Motor Group. That was yesterday. Also in Libya, the Libyan Prime Minister met with the World Bank delegation to discuss cooperation between its institutions and the World Bank, and also to endorse a work plan proposed for the country to be executed in coordination with relevant ministers. And that's all from us here in Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Justina. We have now come to the Q&A segment. If you have any questions for any of our speakers, you can make use of the chat function available on Zoom to type in your questions. If you're joining us from Facebook, you can make use of the comment section. And if you prefer to speak, you can use the raise hand function and you'll be called upon to speak. Okay, looks like we do not have any questions today. That means we have now come to the end of today's session. On behalf of Vetiva Capital and our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports, we thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you have a productive day ahead. We urge everyone to continue to stay safe. Thank you and good morning.